to me, what's interesting is that to sell something, you can either craft it or you can go in raid, find the item, and then extract and sell it. To buy something, you don't necessarily have to go in raid. You just have to sell something. So if we go back to that point where you've like made enough progression where you like the Hideout Flea Market, you could just infinitely, you know, generate money. So I
Yep.
wonder if, because the flea market requires found in raid items, what if the flea market required found in raid cash?
Ooh, that was
So
not how I was
now,
expecting that argument to end.
welcome to ScavTalk, an escape from Tarkov podcast with a focus on the continued development of the game, patch note analysis, theory crafting, and general gameplay discussions. My name is Church. I do video editing for a content creator in Tarkov named Airwing Marine.
I'm GigaBeef, a Tarkov YouTuber helping you guys get better at the game. And welcome back to the podcast. And you might notice I have a very slight gravel in my voice, but this, the show must go on. So, Mr. Church, how has your week been in EFT this week? Good, sir.
It's been pretty good, lots of upgrading the Bitcoin farm and doing scav runs and getting that free money, baby.
It's a good
uh
time. Where are you at in the Bitcoin?
I just got level 2 installed and I got 20 cards
Okay.
in there.
Nice. I'm still stuck at 10 for now.
Yeah.
Because like this week has been a lot busier for me IRL. So I was like on a mad push, right? Because I think last time you were like, oh my goodness, I think you're even overtaking me or something. And I was just like tasking. And then this week I've been really, really busy and not been able to play quite as much. And so I'm kind of like, I guess, gated by mechanic. I would say mechanic 3 is
Yeah.
like the big blocker now. I've got loads of stuff just like lined up. I'm like, one of those dams or something with all the water pressure behind. And mechanic 3 is just at the front, like holding his hands out, like, nope. And I'm level 28.
What does he lock behind?
It's the generator 3, workbench 3, which then unlocks like water collector 3,
Okay, gotcha.
Bitcoin 2. It's so many things. There's a ton of
Oh,
stuff.
because
There's
you
a
need
ton of stuff.
generator 3 for Bitcoin too? Is that how that works?
Exactly.
Okay,
And so
that
I'm just
makes
like
sense.
stuck. I can't upgrade anything until then, and then that unlocks like
Yeah.
everything. But I did do the scav case because that's unrelated to that. That's just like Intel Center 2. So
Yeah.
I did do that one. But yeah, I'm stuck there, and I've got 2 levels to go. But like the 25 to 30 is really taking quite a while, especially when I've probably played like I'm probably down like half or 30% as many raids as I did the week before. So my questing is kind of slowed, and then you need like more XP to get the last few levels. So I've probably only gone up like a couple of levels in a week. So that's the deal. So you must be 30 plus now. Whereabouts are you in progression?
33.
Okay.
I can definitely feel the, like, normally, I said this yesterday, I was like, I could typically a month or so, give or like, mostly give, like, I would typically be around 40 around this point.
Yeah.
That's usually how long it takes me. It's like a month
Yeah.
with like max traders. So I can feel it sort of. Part of that is me not playing as much, which I've done a lot of catching up this week. But definitely part of that is because they increased the grind a bit.
Yeah, I need to go and actually compare those XP numbers. I don't know what that difference
Yeah, I would
is
love to
now at
see
this
the
point, like the
difference.
before and after, because I said before, right, I looked at the numbers and said, oh, 10 to 20 is like 5 times or something, but I didn't compare it to like previously 10 and now, what that compares, like 40 versus 40 before or whatever. I don't really know
Right.
now. I'm not actually sure. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like game feel, for the time being, for me at least, I feel like unless I'm actively searching out PMCs, I just don't really find that many people. I don't know how you've been finding it, but I've not really been running that many hot zones, to be honest with you, and I've been like quite careful about where I'm going. But I was doing which one is it? The Tarkov shooter? Is it the one where you have to kill people at 25 meters? Is that 3 or 4?
Yeah. Yeah,
Tarkov
I'm on
shooter
that. I think
3.
it's 3.
So I did that one last week on stream, and that was a lot of fun because I've not really, yeah, as I said, I've been doing a lot of just go here, fetch the stuff, go back, go here, fetch the stuff, go back, because I did a lot of Peacekeeper, and got onto like wet job where you have to like kill scavs and stuff, which is kind of like I was like, okay, fine, well, I actually have to think about it a little bit and play some real raids, but I can't just do like throwaway raids and like run in with an M9 and grab something and then leave. So yeah, the proper ones that I was doing was the Tarkov shooter and killing people under 25 meters. And honestly, like I have a lot of fun every time. Like I basically went through like 4 or 5 raids where I died to people straight away as I was like changing my game plan, and I wasn't playing particularly well. I was like playing as if I had like a low tier SMG
Mhm.
with the VPO, and it was just not really working, or whatever it's called, the Bolty. Um, and then I was like, okay, I need to like change up and actually be like actively thinking about what I'm doing in this situation, and being like, going around like around a corner to allow myself to like fire a shot and then leave straight away. And then like once I did that, then it was okay, and I got like 1 and then 2 kills with it. But it's like it is fun to run around. I even did like nearly did like a leaping like chest shot on some guy, but I missed and then killed him in the second one. It was like
Really?
it was funny. It was just like mad factory like Shift W 366 AP gaming. It was funny. I enjoyed myself.
That's cool. Sorry, I'm trying to look up. I was hoping maybe I could find a change log of the experience change, but I can't really seem to find one.
Oh yeah, I don't know whether
So
you can. Yeah, like we'll go back and find like the revision or something for the
yeah,
page.
I'm seeing couple for like 50 through like 70, but
Yeah.
I
Someone in
don't know.
chat
It's
was saying
weird.
like it's 46k more XP, meaning by the time you're level 20 now, you'd be level 29 last wipe. Someone's saying. Um,
Hmm.
but it'd be nice to see the tables kind of like in comparison.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I want to see
yeah, exactly.
that. I heard someone got Kappa.
I did see this actually. I did see this. I can't remember what their name was, but they did like was it
Yeah.
what like 1,600 raids or something? It was some absurd number of raids per
Yeah.
day.
I can only imagine how many labs raids of raider farming they did to do that.
Yeah, like I can't. I like it was so stupid. I can't even remember what the number was because I have like no real like scale on how many raids that actually how many it was because like so because when was the wipe? How long was it ago? Like a month or something. So
Yeah, about a month.
yeah, it was
So
like
3 weeks.
it was like 50, it was like somewhere in the sort of 50 raids a day region or something insane like that. It's just I don't know, it's just complete madness. But you've just
Yeah.
got to be like farming raiders with headshots in labs. It's the only way to do it, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
But it
yeah.
is nuts that someone's got it already. Oh, sorry, 4,300 raids. Okay, that's why it makes more sense. That makes more sense. It was like 27 raids a day or something. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But it's absolutely ludicrous.
I wonder how many
Um,
of those are just labs and raiders
I
like
don't even know.
out of those raids. Yeah.
Probably the final, 4,100 of
Yeah.
the 4,300.
Exactly.
It's insane. Um, yeah, I mean, in terms of news, like what's changed? The only thing that I would really noticed is I know that there was some changes going on over at the wiki, which I'm particularly sensitive to because I use the wiki a lot. For those people who haven't been keeping up to date with that, a very short overview. Wiki used to be Gamepedia. It's fandom bought Gamepedia and decided that all wiki pages needed to have the same layout. That messed up the EFT, especially the ballistics pages. Some stuff was like is too thin. It's like there's ads in the wrong place. The headings have like disappeared. So on the ballistics chart, if you used to scroll down, it used to bring the headings with it. They had like added that in the sort of past 6 months, I think. That's really nice. That's gone. Um, it was extremely painful, and it just sucks really. But like a lot of people put the guys at the wiki put together like a community outreach thing, and they've gone to
Mhm.
fandom, and apparently they've reverted some of the changes, and now we're in like they're actually in dialogue with them. So that's actually quite decent. And if anybody's interested, if you go to Tarkov Reporter's Twitter page, he actually has a way to revert it back to the old method. You have to make an account and stuff, and then like apparently it's only going to be temporary, but you have to like go back um and like change something, but it's only going to be there for a bit. I'm not sure exactly how long, but you could make it go exactly back to the way it was before. So while these guys like fix it, then you don't need to use the new one, which is quite good. Because yeah, I didn't really like the way some of the new pages work. Like it's fine, except the ballistics page is very sensitive, right? And I use that all the time. I have a copy of the ballistics page open 24/7. Even with Tarkov closed, I have the ballistics page open more than I have. I probably have more hours on the ballistics page than I have hours in EFT. Let's put it that way.
You don't have a printout of the ballistics page pasted onto your wall, dude? You're not a real Tarkov gamer.
Oh, I know, but I can't make the heading scroll down if I have it on the wall. That's the real problem. Oh, I should get one of those. I should get like it on like a slider. So I have like the headings on like a slider, and then I could just like
Oh my god.
slide the thing up and down. Oh, you've given me a great idea. And then people would buy that. People would
I was
buy
gonna
that.
say, you could totally sell that. That's hilarious.
So that was it for me, really, in terms of. Oh, and the only other thing, actually, um, I've been looking through, and this is maybe we can touch on this a little bit later, but they've changed a lot of the names of a lot of the attachments, right? Which is really
Have
good.
they?
It's actually great. So there's a lot of them. They're called like AR10 suppressor, blah blah blah. AR10 comp, AR15 suppressor, AR15, da 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 da. So like they're a lot more standardized now, which is nice. Now I know they've been
Mm,
changing a lot of the quest names, which I don't really care so much about, but the attachments are now a lot more standardized, except for like the two-part compensator suppressors. They all seem to have the old names still, but I'm not sure.
hmm.
Um, but anyway, that's like sort of a side note. The one thing that I was kind of interested in, and yeah, we can talk about this later, but I just want to mention it now, is that I know they say they want to get rid of metas, and some people were talking about like, oh, meta builds like this and that and the other that's changed. I'm really struggling to find what's different. Nothing seems to be different, and maybe we talk about this in a bit after you've said your news bit. But
Yeah.
like, I'm not sure what's changed, so we could touch on that. There's like a few new items that I wanted to mention, but yeah. Um, is there anything that you've been looking at this
I
week
mean,
other
not
than level
really. I mean, that
71?
there was an event with Dr. Lupo yesterday. I didn't really get to check it out too much. Just clicked on it and saw that he was wearing a rig and in some warehouse, and I
Oh
assumed he was
yeah,
just streaming.
I saw the announcement for that. I actually don't know what it was. I didn't check it
I have
out.
no idea.
I don't know what happened.
I think it was just a collaboration between Intel, Tarkov, and Dr. Lupo.
Okay,
It's kind of cool, you know.
that is
But
cool. That is cool. Okay,
yeah,
nice.
there was some like patches, but I haven't really seen any of the fixes for anything.
Yeah,
I don't like okay, so here's my list of like things that I hope they are aware about. The mutant bug. If you didn't know, like anytime you do an animation and you have to like re re-equip or like re-swing your gun from the sling to your hands, it like plays the animation twice for whatever reason.
mm,
And it's really annoying, but I mean, whatever. Minor bug. You got
yeah.
eSwing audio, which is just like, oh my god. I was playing the other day and it was literally like a horror game, Giga. I was in first floor and I was hearing someone sprinting around like crazy. And I actually heard 2 footsteps, and I'm thinking, "Oh my god, dude, there's a
Okay.
bunch of Giga Chads in East Wing. I'm just trying to get my little documents case or whatever, for Peacekeeper." So, I basically spend, like, 20 minutes on the first floor holding a room. So because all I hear is, like, I'm holding the angle, and I hear the guy running from my right speaker, and he's running, he's running, he's running, he's running, and then he sounds like he's coming closer to the door, and I'm, like, getting ready, and then he passes by to my left speaker. I'm like, "Okay, so he's in the floor above me." And that happens, like, 20 times. Eventually, I go up to the roof because 'cause I'm like, "I think this guy." I was, like, checking floors,
Yeah.
and I was like, "I think this guy's on the roof." Sure enough, he was on the roof. So, now I'm trying to flank him, but I'm realizing if I go from one side to the other side, he can hear me, and
Yeah.
he just follows me on the roof to the other side. So I had to, like, get real five head, and I, like, ran towards the other side, and then I stopped midway, and then, like, crouch walked back, and then I came
Uh,
outside, and I threw a nade, and I caught him with the nade, I guess, 'cause somehow whatever
oh
reason, he
wow.
proned. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I was like,
that's
because I
sick.
really wanted to get this guy, because I was scared I was gonna run outside, and he was gonna shoot me in the back.
Yeah.
So I was just oh my god, dude, that was like an actual horror game experience, dude. It was like it's just terrifying sitting there and you're hearing like someone's on your floor running towards you and you're holding the angle and then it's just like there's nothing there. And
It's
then
insane.
it's yeah.
That's actually insane. I've not been to Resort really this wipe so far because I've only been in for
Mhm.
like Peacekeeper quests, and as I said, I've been doing them as like throwaway runs to just like maximize doing the questing. So I've not really gone in that geared, and I've not really been fighting anyone in there. But I have seen the litany of complaints across Twitter, and apparently it is a real mess. I don't know, like why would they change it? I don't know what they would.
That
Maybe they're trying to add
I'm
something, or I don't know.
so curious as to how that broke because but I what it is to me is like there's no occlusion for the audio
Hmm.
like, inside the building, because when I was so Veritas, when he was doing his context video, he shot out a Discord message like, "Hey, anyone wants to help me out with some testing?" And I was, like, working on something, I was like, okay, I'll help out." So, we went in, and immediately, straight away this was my first time going in the East Wing, I noticed right away, as soon as I was because we came from admin, as soon as we walked through admin, you know how it, like, connects from admin to East Wing, there's, like, that glass
Yeah.
sort of, like, corridor? We were walking through there, and as soon as we stepped into East Wing, I noticed the audio, the ambient noise was playing an outdoor sound, like birds were chirping,
Oh, yeah, yeah, and you
and
can tell,
that
right, because of the
immediate
background.
yes, and that immediately I was like, "Whoa, whoa, did you Veritas, did you notice that?" And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Come back, walk this way. Did you notice that?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's really weird." And it was just like something with like the building and like the audio profile and like the map design that just broke on that single wing. So now it just sounds like there's no profiles for
Yeah.
any parts of the building. It's all just like it treats it as like one plane, you know.
It
It's
doesn't make
really
sense,
weird.
right? Because, like, there weren't any improvements, I don't think, that they were doing there. So maybe they
No.
inadvertently touched something or what, I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's very bizarre.
Spaghetti code. It could
Mm,
be, maybe like
exactly.
a previous, merge of
Mm.
line of code broke something, like, who knows? But it's I would love to know the reason because it's super interesting to me how that happens.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess the only other thing that I would touch on is just like I have seen, as well as that, right? That's like one of the things that people have been complaining about, and there has been a lot of people complaining online, a lot of people complaining about many, 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 many things. I mean, I'm always on the side of just like, when it comes to that kind of thing. I guess maybe like I
Mhm,
just don't get as annoyed. I'm not playing it all day, every day as well. So it's
mhm,
like kind of, whatever. And I'm not like a PvP meta shift W Chad either. So it's kind of, as I said, I've like barely been in resort. I played a little bit of factory. I don't play labs, not especially not now. And
mhm,
so it's like, I'm not sure if my opinion's really even valid on that, right? It's like I don't really have any criticisms. Stuff seems to work outside, and I've said previously, I have a preference in fighting outside, playing outside, flanking solo is just so much easier when you're not inside buildings, and all of the desync and netcode and all of that stuff is worse in buildings round corners. Like that's when it works the least well. I think there was actually something. It's interesting you speak about Veritas. Actually, I did hear him mention you. He gave you a little plug on the podcast because of you helping him out with the video, which I was like, oh, nice, because I didn't actually realize you were doing that. I was like, that's pretty cool. But he was talking the other day about was it him? It must have been him. Surely it was him. Talking about like netcode and the way it works, and like maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was somebody else. There was something about like the server authoritative and client side authoritative stuff, and how like
mhm.
simplistically making everything server authoritative is what you want, but practically speaking, that doesn't work because there's certain things that have to be done client side because otherwise it's silly. Like if you had movement done client side, maybe this was a
R
Reddit post actually. I think this was a Reddit post. So it's like if you'd had movement done server side, it would feel bad
right.
all the time,
Feel
really
really
bad. Your
bad.
own model would be like rubber banding and stuff. Like if you had your like
Yep.
your view look server
Yeah.
side, like it would suck, right? The server would be constantly like recorrecting you and like trying to sync up and stuff. It would be really bad. So there's a compromise between the two. And yeah, maybe it was Veritas. Someone in chat was saying it was Veritas. Yeah, so it was like I think it might have been him, and there was also a Reddit post on this. And I think like that's made me finally realize why I don't really have any problems outside, because when you're outside, you don't have any of those like or process ordering issues. Because if I shoot you on your screen, you're behind the wall, but on my screen you were out in the hallway, and then you die because the game goes, well, I accept the shot from me, but you're behind the wall. But I don't like, the game doesn't care about the fact that you're behind the wall. All it's done is accepted the death, because on my screen I shot you in the head, but on your screen that never happened, but you die anyway, and even though you're behind cover. But that stuff never happens when you're outside, really, unless you're properly playing like behind big rocks and all this kind of stuff. Like it's, I don't know, it tends to be a bit less like order specific, and it's also not so twitchy, right? You tend to have like a sort of prolonged firefight, and then someone headshots someone else, and you're more static, and you're less likely to be like darting from door to door or something like that. Maybe this is why I just don't see these issues as much, because I do 95% of the time play in outdoor areas on most maps. Like I played quite a lot of Shoreline this wipe. Have I played in resort at all? Absolutely not. um, just because like I'll go there for very specific things if I want to. And if I want just like random PvP, I
Mhm.
tend to go to factory, because why would
Yeah.
I spend 6 minutes running at the beginning when I could just
Right.
play in factory straight away? And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think like, yeah, I don't know. I think that may be the reason, because I have wondered this, because people are complaining. Anyway, a lot of people are complaining online, and I think it's not necessarily that great for the state of the game. Not that people shouldn't complain, but I think maybe the manner in which everybody goes is synchronized. You know, 1,000 Tarkov players cry out in pain.
I think there is some truth to what you're saying, but I will say that so when both objects are static for more than a minute, because that's like what 1,000 milliseconds or 100 milliseconds, I don't know. Then it's a lot more consistent. But if you're strafing from distance, because I think it's a combination of um, the projectiles not being instantaneous, like in CS:GO, for example, like they're just like a laser beam. There's no bullet travel time, so there's less. It's hit scan, I guess. There's less
Mm.
calculation on the server side for stuff. But like I noticed the other day, I was on the roof of a resort and the guy was down below, and he was like maybe 50 to 60 meters, and I literally shot him in the head, and I don't know, my crosshair was on him, but it just, like, it didn't kill him, and then I just as I'm strafing, I just, like, move I die, randomly. And it's just, like because we were both sort of, like, strafing and trying to, like, one tap each other, and it was
Yeah.
just, like, what's like
Is that like you shot him and then you died instantaneously afterwards, kind of thing? Like really, really short time afterwards?
not instantaneously. I'd have to,
'Cause,
like, go back and watch
yeah,
it.
exactly. This is the thing because it's all like it's all ordering, isn't
Because
it?
I
Because
might
it's like
even missed his head, to be
yeah, because it's
fair.
like you even if you shoot someone in the head, if the server receives that they shot you in the head first, even though you
Exactly.
see that you've killed them, the server goes, well, the ordering doesn't make sense, so your hit doesn't count because you're already dead, and that kind of thing.
Well, the server
So
goes, "Oh, this client was this client says you're dead before your client." Like, it's like it has a mismatch, so it picks I guess, the first client? I don't know.
yeah,
And
well, it
then
goes
that's the
like
desync that
yeah,
feels really
yeah.
bad,
Well, it goes like you fire.
Mhm,
Well, so he fires and you fire
mhm,
after, like very slightly afterwards, and then
mhm.
the server goes, okay, he fired and you're dead. Meanwhile,
That's true.
you're still receiving the shot from him, so he hasn't fired
Mhm.
yet on your screen, but you are already dead as far as the server's concerned.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's where like the ordering gets like messed up and stuff. But someone in
That's how
chat
you have the
saying
trades.
this stuff does happen, but and you can get trades. You can get trades. So I'm saying it does happen, but you just don't have reference points, which maybe is true. Maybe it's less noticeable at long range. I don't know. I feel like if you clack somebody outside at distance and you hit them in the head, it's very rare for them to just then like. I don't feel ever that happens that you shoot someone with a sniper rifle in the head and then they don't die and they run off. Like that doesn't
Well,
happen.
what happened to me too was on interchange, and this is probably because it was at the starter rate. I know the starter rate that's really bad. I shot a
Mm.
guy, and then as my crosshair is coming down to settle, I'm, like, lining up the next shot, and then he just, like, stops moving and falls 'cause
Yes.
I headshot him, and that's just, like I don't know, it's like can't be bullet travel,
No, that's
you know
just
what I mean?
server backup, right? That's the
Yeah,
server
it's
not
like
like dealing with the stuff until way
there
later and
is
then going,
bullet travel, but there's also, like and in theory, if that guy was, like, aiming at me and moving and shooting, he could have easily, like, within that time frame, he could have died, and then I could have died. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, I mean, the trades thing though, the trades thing only happens if it is within the bullet travel time, because otherwise the server ordering doesn't make sense. Or I guess it's like it is slightly different,
No,
isn't it? Because it's
because
like
it's client side authoritative. So even if if I swing around the corner, I shoot a guy, and then he shoots me, and then I swing back around the corner and I die, but on my kill screen, I see that we traded. It's because I sent to the server that, "Hey, I shot this guy in the head," but in between that delay of, like, the server getting the information and sending it back to the clients, he's also sending his own information, and the server's just like, "Okay, yes, both of these are true." This is my theory. I can't say this is, like, fact. But it says, like, both of these things, it's even though it's a conflict, like, both of these things are true, boom, and then it's like a trade that happens, you know what I mean?
maybe I'm
Part of
wrong
that
here,
too
but like
I think part of that too is the bullet time. But, like, the fact that you can like, let's say we were on LAN,
yeah,
I think trades up close could happen, but it would be, like, super rare because the bullet travel is, like, up
they
close is,
should
like
be. They
it's,
should be
like,
quite rare. I agree.
it'd be really small, man, but I think because of the
Hmm.
large gap and the client side well, not I shouldn't say a large gap, but that delay plus the client side authoritative. Because like, man, dude, and I'm trying to think of some other game like Apex Legends is has bullet travel, um, and I'm pretty sure trades are like very rare on that game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to ask my buddy that plays it a lot, a lot.
Yeah,
I haven't
maybe
played in a
like
long time.
I mean, we don't know exactly how it kind of orders. We have no idea how it orders it. So
No,
does it say you shot, I shot, and then the bullets are in the air, and then we both die? Like this is the thing. We just don't really know.
we
We just don't
really
really know.
don't know.
But anyway,
It's
there's a lot of people
speculation.
complaining. I'm having a good time regardless, so it doesn't really matter. In summary,
Yeah, there was. So what was the other bug? There was the mutant, the audio, and East Wing, and there was some other. Oh, the hideout, in the flea market. It's kind of like that's kind
which
of an.
bug was this?
So I don't know. Maybe you're not experienced this, but anytime I collect something in the hideout, my game locks up, and I can hear it like
Oh,
ticks each individual item. Like if I
yeah,
craft 10, yeah, bandages, it takes like a minute because it's got to every 10 seconds it ticks the bandage.
yeah, I'm
Those
getting
are
that.
like the three major bugs that I'm expecting them to fix soon, but I'm guessing that's being merged into a patch that's coming up a little bit later.
Yeah, I guess
So
so.
let's just
That's
go
quite a
with it for
funny one
now.
because it was like working before and now it's not, which is quite entertaining.
Yeah.
And you're trying to collect like 20 hot rods and it's just like
Oh no, I can only imagine.
it's quite quick for me though. I would say it's like tick, 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 tick.
Really?
It's not that big a deal. It's okay. It's fine. I can deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm dealing with it. It's just
Yeah.
the part that frustrates me is I can't even alt tab. You try to alt tab and the game's just like freezes, like it is completely frozen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Those
crazy.
are the only major bugs, in my opinion, that you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, game feels
Otherwise,
fine.
kind of okay.
Same,
It's-
same old, same old. You know what I mean?
exactly. Exactly. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm having a good time. I think like what I've spent my time thinking about. Yeah, actually, let's talk back about what I was saying before about these gun builds. Now, I don't know whether you have experienced this yet, but I was looking for like where they've changed these meta things, right? So I was like building meta M4s in the preset window and all this kind of stuff, and looking through like the suppressors, the comps, the grips, the stocks, like I haven't gone through every gun. I haven't really looked at the HK because it's not one that I use myself normally. I
Hmm.
can't really find what they've changed. I can't find any like attachment changes whatsoever with the M4 or any of its like components because I've got tables
I'm
of
not
in like
sure.
saved in spreadsheets.
Do
But they
you?
did say, I'm sure they said it, and I remember seeing some Twitter posts of people being like, "Oh, this thing's been nerfed now. You can't have like super low recoil and super low ergo." But maybe it was just like wrong, or people like misremembering or something. I can't remember like because I've looked through and like I can't find anything that's different.
I mean, I saw the HK. Okay, for sure. Well, I can't say for sure. I'm pretty confident the SA58 got an ergo nerf somewhere. I don't know if it's in the
I
base
haven't checked that one out
gun.
actually.
Yeah, I don't know if it's in the base gun, the barrel, or what. But because the last I saw the like the old meta one, I want to say you could have like around 30 ergo. Now it's like 10 ergo. So it
Maybe I
got
need to go and have a look at that one then.
kind of yeah. Take a look at that one. I mean, they can't nerf
Okay.
my zero ergo meta SA58 build because it's already.
No, that's the one I was like memeing around with on labs at the end of last wipe, and it is funny. It's just like, well, it's zero ergo anyway, so it's fine. It's this RK
Yeah,
250
listen,
round drama suppressor, and just spraying, fire hosing people with a laser on. Just don't even bother ADSing. It's fine.
yeah, can't
Super, super
nerf,
funny.
can't
Exactly.
nerf zero ergo. That's funny.
Can't nerf that, boys. But yeah, there's I don't know. Have you checked out the new suppressor for the
For the
M4?
M4, yeah. I'm God, this frustrates me because it's like they add a new like obviously this is gonna be the meta, and then it's not found in raid only. I'm just like, God damn it, why can't we just for once have something nice, BSG? Just for once.
Yeah, make it rare, make it finding made only. It doesn't like no one needs 1% less recoil, and like it's not necessary. But yeah, this new one, what is it? Is it a surefire? I forget. But
I don't even know.
yeah, this new one is usurped the previous winner,
Yeah.
which is
I think you can get the
interesting.
recoil down to like 34 or something on the M4 anyways. You can get it pretty low. I was like,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, you
I
can
mean,
get
the
it pretty low
ergo's
now. It's
pretty rough.
I mean, that's the thing. Oh, yeah, sorry. It's the Silencer Co. ASR. That's the one. So the AAC Blackout used to be the best, like, if you combine the two, with
Yeah, yeah.
22% recoil reduction, then this one is 23. And the Blackout actually reduces ergo by 21, and this combo reduces it by 20. So it's actually better on both counts. So there's not even, there's no choice to make. It's just flat out better than everything else.
Is it, like, more expensive than that combo? Let me guess, it's cheaper?
I'm not sure. I'm actually
I'd be
not
willing to
sure.
bet it's cheaper, just I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be toxic, but it's
I
just
think
kind of the trend.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know because I'm not there with the traders, so I don't know yet. Um, but yeah, that's kind of interesting because I've been basically going through screening stuff, trying to figure out like what's changed, what's not. There's like a new
Yeah,
handguard which is like ergo only, which is the skull one, which I'm like, okay, well that's
I
pointless. Like it's
saw.
just for show.
Yeah.
There's a couple of bits and pieces like that, but like nothing's really changed dramatically. So okay, well, that's interesting. Well, I'm gonna have to look at the SA58 and see what's different about that. The other thing that I spent quite a bit of time looking at, as you might imagine, is kind of like the sort of mid-gamey kind of guns. Like I'm probably going to do a video on it next week, and I kind of, well, I guess this is an interesting ordering because like normally my video is going out the day after when we make this podcast, but it's already gone out. So it's like RFB versus Hunter today, which I've already put out. But that's kind of like the beginnings of my thing. So I was like, I actually think there's a big difference now that durability's there and like guns from scavs versus guns in boxes. Like makes a big change, even though the Hunter's really cheap now. It's like really low durability, and because it's kind of like unless you're using it at point blank, which is fine, you can still do that. But at long range, it now sucks because of the durability debuff against MOA, which just makes it really hard to hit anything at range if you've got like 50% durability, which is kind of annoying. But outside of that, like yeah, I've been looking at like other stuff. I mean, just for me, right, as well, just like playing. Like where am I at? I'm
Mhm.
level 28. I have Peacekeeper 3. I have Mechanic 2. I have Skier 2, etc., etc. And so it's like, well, what's available here? And there's like quite a few, I don't know, there's quite a few like interesting sort of mid-gamey sort of, you have the Flea, but you don't have max traders, like what's cheap, what's good, whatever. And I've seen a couple of people using the P90, and I've started using the P90 quite a bit. And
Mm.
it's like it's ripping people. It's good. Like it's really, really good at
What
this
ammo
at
do
this point in
you
the
use?
wipe. SS190. You can buy the top tier stuff
Is
from
it
Peacekeeper
cheap?
3. It's not that much.
Oh, Peacekeeper
It's
3.
yeah.
You don't have Skier
I
3?
don't have Skier 3. I don't.
Okay.
I pushed through Peacekeeper aggressively this wipe.
That's crazy, yeah.
And because Peacekeeper is quite low level orientated, but you do need to get the flash drives first from Skier. If you can get through the flash drives quest, you can get Peacekeeper quite far. And again,
Yeah.
that's the reason why I've been doing these throwaway shoreline runs because I've been getting Peacekeeper rep because most of his are go and grab the thing, leave, go and grab the thing, leave, go and
Right.
grab the thing, leave, which is just like it's kind of annoying. But you do it, and then you can buy the RFB, you can buy all the suppressors, you can buy any of the
Yeah.
Magpul grips, you can buy
Those are
SS1
good value.
190 and the 193s for the P90, and P90s are like 50k on the flea market. It's actually a really good time because like now everyone's just using level 4. There's no one using. I haven't not yet encountered anybody using level 5. The P90 is completely okay. It will just it will rip people.
Now, it doesn't pin on the first hit or,
No, but you have a 50
okay.
round mag, so it's okay by default, right?
I love that answer.
50
Oh,
round
wait,
mag
it
by
has a
default.
oh, 37. Sorry, I was looking at the armor damage. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not
because
bad.
I was like,
And it
oh,
shoots
maybe
really fast too.
MP7. I was like, yeah, I was like MP7 maybe, but then you can only buy like the 20s because my mechanic's low. I'm not
Right.
mechanic 3, so I can't buy 30s
Yeah.
even. I'm like 20's a bit rough if you're shooting at like 950, right? Whereas a P90, 900, all right, 190 for Peacekeeper, all right, 50 round
Yeah.
magazines, all right. Like this is looking pretty good, honestly.
It's pretty
Um,
accurate too.
Pretty accurate. It's got low recoil. Like you don't have to mod it really. The
Yeah.
only thing that I found because there is a trade-off with a lot of these guns and these like mid-game guns for one reason or another. It's the reason why they're a mid-game gun, and late game they kind of fall off and people
Mhm.
start to stop using them a bit. But they're good at this stage. One issue is that because I don't have Mechanic 3, I can't buy. I think it might even be Mechanic 4. I can't buy the better uppers for the P90, so I'm stuck with the base one, which is kind of annoying because the default sight for the P90 is really, really god awful. Like it's
It's
so
pretty
bad.
bad.
It's like the tiny little dot in the huge
Yeah.
housing. Like, oh, it's awful. And so I've kind of got like two builds for it. One which is like laser on the side, don't ADS, which is like my factory one. And then the other one is like actually go to the flea, buy the different upper off the flea market, and then just put it like some site on it or something, which is like fine.
How much is the upper?
Um,
If you had to
I
guess.
bought one the other day for like 15K, which is,
That's not bad.
it's
That's
not too
pretty good.
bad. Given the gun's like 50 grand,
Yeah.
it's okay. And
Yeah.
you don't mod the thing, right? You just pick it up off the flea for 50K. And it's like what I said in my video as well, because like unless you get it off a raider, but the raider's stuff I think is higher durability anyway.
Yeah.
There's never like low durability stuff because people are finding them in boxes and putting them up, and that's the thing. It's the same with the RFB. Like the Hunter, they're all just like crap tier. They are 15,000, but there's a reason because they're like all 50% durability. Whereas the RFBs are all 100%, P90s are all 100%. And because everyone finds them in like weapons crates, and weapons crates weapons don't have any durability, like variability at all. They're just all 100. Or you just buy it from Peacekeeper. You can just buy it from Peacekeeper as well. I think it's the level 3 too. So that's also good. So I've been liking that. I've been liking that. So that's kind of like my go-to right now. It's like the P90. It's like Peacekeeper stuff. Like I'm actually going like proper
That's
USEG.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
P90 for
Deep
like
into
short
the role
range,
play.
yeah, or like RFB for longer range stuff. RFB with an L-can or like P90 with a laser on it. It's like these are my
That
two at the
sounds
moment.
pretty
This is what I'm
fun.
running. It's good. It's fun. I kind of wanted to do. It's actually quite funny. I wanted to do a USEC style Peacekeeper run for
Ooh.
ages, and ended up not thinking about it and accidentally doing it like this wipe because I've basically been doing like M9, MP5, P90, RFB. Like I've hardly touched an AK. I've like used an SKS right at the start. But other than that, I pretty much used all like all sort of Western weapons. It's been funny. It's kind of by accident.
That's interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, I actually really like those. I mean, when RFB came out and I was like looking at it and kind of analyzing it, I watched the video and I kind of agree. I think the RFB is just a superior hunter. Like it's just worth the money to spend.
I
Um,
think so.
and what was I
I
gonna
think
say?
so.
Yeah, I approve of those guns for mid game. Those sounds like really good options because I think I've been using the mutant and um mostly just to have fun before I got it from Peacekeeper.
Mm,
But even then, it's like 80K, and I
yeah.
only I'm starting to get into BP territory. Like I'm really close to closing out the Punisher quest line to get that BP unlock.
Okay.
Um, and BP's come down a bit, but I've mostly been using PS ammo.
Yeah.
But those options sound pretty good for
Yeah.
sure.
I think like because PS is good, but I
It's
find
all right.
I start to move away from it once. I don't know. I feel like it's like when everyone is running level 4, when like a good portion of the people are running level 4, because you only need level 2 Ragman. Actually, this is maybe something that we can talk about in a second. But as soon as you get level 2 Ragman, basically no one really should be running anything under level 4 because there's not really any reason why. Because you buy that rig armor combo, the 6B3
Yeah,
TM for 50 grand, gives you a rig, which is okay. Gives you armor vest equivalent, which is okay. All in one package. People don't take them because they're annoying and bulky. You get them back. You repair them. They're not that bad to repair because they're combined materials, I believe. Anyway, this one, it's not like the terrible one. It's not
yeah,
ceramic,
yeah.
so it's
You could
okay
use it
to
like
repair. It's fine 2 or
twice.
3 times.
Yeah,
You're going to get it back if it's like 33 max durability. You're then going to get it back in insurance. When you get 4, you can combine 4 crappy ones together with a trade ragman to get 1 fresh one again. So it's just like
it,
this continuous cycle of insurance and recycling. Like
yeah,
these rigs are great, which is the reason why I just like people should just use them all the time continuously. Like there's not really any reason once you get that to go lower, I
yeah.
don't think.
I
And
really
so when
level up.
everybody's doing that, it then degrades the value of PS a bit because I find PS against level 4 is like fine, but if you're at a slightly slower fire rate, maybe the mutant's okay, but with AKMs, I kind of like start moving away from it because it's like the
Yeah,
fire
yeah, yeah.
rate's slightly too. You really need to get a few hits in to guarantee some kills, especially with misses and stuff. Kind of taken into account. And I'm like, yeah, PS is fine, and BP is like a bit of a leap because I think I was looking. It's Punisher 5, isn't it? BP. When I looked the other day, I think it
5 or
was Punisher
6. I
Part
can't.
5.
Probably is 5. That's the
Yeah.
one I'm on.
I think so. And it's like it's such a big step between the two. But BP is certainly amazing. What's the fire rate? I've actually not used the mutant yet. I haven't because I don't have Scare 3, so I haven't bought any off the flea market.
6. It's 50 more than the AKM.
Okay, so it's not huge. It's
No,
650 then. Which again with PS is like it's all right. It's fine. Like it's fine. It's fine. Like it is
like you
fine.
said, it's more about the ammo than the gun for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Because with
Yeah.
BP and some good attachments, the mutant, like we've seen, right? It's clearly insane.
Yeah.
Um, but to kind of pick it up mid game, I'm not sure. It's one of those things where I feel like it's kind of early game PS like stuff, awesome. Then it kind of falls out a bit because like the recoil and stuff of other guns that you don't have to mod kind of comes in. Then it comes back again when you can get like low recoil builds with BP, and then it falls off again when people end up with the stupid 30 recoil M4s with 995 and all of that stuff at the late game. So it's kind of like two
SS
cycles, I feel.
SS190 is $4. That's really cost effective. Like that's really good.
It is good.
Yeah, that's the way to go, in my
It is good.
opinion.
The P90,
I
I think it's good.
I have a follow-up question for you.
Hmm.
Have you had any jams since last time we spoke?
I have not.
Same.
No. No, I haven't. I haven't had any
And I'm
jams.
wondering
I've
if they changed it.
Yeah, it's a good question because I don't think I've used any scav guns since then.
Oh, interesting.
I've
So
only
you
used
have changed
100
a bit.
durability guns. Yeah, I changed my thing a bit because I was using like some 74 Ms, that kind of stuff, like when we last talked about this. But since then,
Mhm.
as I said, I've been using like MP5 SD, P90, RFB, and other guns like that just they come off the flea at 100 or from the traders at 100. And so I've not used any low durability guns recently, and I haven't had any jams at all. And it's going to come out eventually, like what they've done, but we'll see. We'll see. Um, I hope they've put in something where it's like down to 90% that you don't end up getting any jams really, or 95 even. I don't know. Like
Yeah, I
let's
don't
just hope they
know.
do it that way. I think it just makes sense. I know people like there's I don't know whether did we speak about this last time? Where there's people all over Twitter going like, well, actually, if your gun can jam out the box, it's like, well, that's fine, but like, if you can sew up your stomach, we can stop jams in the first
Yeah, yeah,
5%.
yeah, yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's a game, like it's
right.
fine. Um, so, and also, like, is it fresh out of the factory? It comes from a trader. It's potentially like surplus
Yeah.
NATO or whatever. If you buy an
We can
RFB from Peacekeeper, you're not going down to the local gun store. It's not come from the manufacturer potentially. Um,
you can justify any game mechanic with lore, in
yeah,
my
you
opinion.
can
So,
fluffify it whichever way you like. It's
yeah.
I'm sure you can make it work. But no, I've not had any jams, and you said you haven't had any either.
No, and I've
Hmm.
been not using high. So kind of my thought is like I noticed I'll have to like watch more, but I've noticed Landmark's not been using like really high pin ammo. Like he's using M62s in his like
Oh, really?
7. Yeah, because I really think that just the high pin, like the top echelon S tier ammo, is just has this hidden JM modifier. Um, so I'm wondering when we have to see as like we get further and further into the wipe, and things start becoming more and more accessible and whatnot as far as
Yeah,
like high pin ammo. Because I'm thinking that like the SAI AP for like the 7.62 by 39 caliber for like the AKMs, I'm pretty confident that one's like high jam durability.
jam
And
central.
yeah. And whereas the BP is like way less. I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting.
Just I'll have to test it to sort of
Yeah, see,
confirm,
because
but that's my
that
hunch.
would be kind of cool, right? Because if BP was lower than like M9 M5 and like some other stuff, then you'd be like, well, then this is like maybe a trade-off there. I know BP is like 50-50 against level 5 late game, right? And so it's
Yeah.
can be a bit questionable with the lower fire rates, or at least that's why it's questionable for me. And if there's then a choice between like, well, but you're going to run the risk occasionally of just like you get a jam and you die if you're using M9 M5. It's like, there's that makes it makes kind of buffs BP a little and then pulls the top rounds down a little, which I'm not too opposed to. I think that's kind of okay, and it's for different reasons as well. It depends on whether then you make the choice between consistency or like pure output as well. So it's like, well, if you don't want the risk of jamming, then you got to take a little bit lower pen or whatever, and the potential risk of not penning them on the first shot. I don't know, it's his choices, which I don't mind. I'm not opposed to choices, even if it's two bad choices.
Yeah, I don't even think it's I think it's Here's kinda how I think about it. I'm BSG. I don't like metas. Let me take all the meta ammo and just add a hidden jam modifier. I'm the player. I don't like dying to RNG. Let me just use the tier right below it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just feel like everyone's gonna use the tier right below that. So M62, um, M855A1, BP, AP, what is it? FMJ for the 7 MP7. Like, oh, I just feel like all these things are just gonna become the norm because I
Yeah.
just can't see anyone I can't see the trade-off being a coin flip of maybe I kill this guy, maybe the game says I don't and I get a jam. You know what I mean? I just can't see that being anything you would ever wanna risk. Maybe you load, like, 3 rounds in there, like, you try to really play Russian roulette with your gun.
Every other one or something.
No, you just, like, top load the 3 rounds, and then that's it, like, hopefully, the odds are in my favor and I don't jam these 3 rounds. Because the thing
Yeah.
is, like, if you, like the more you put in there, you're increasing the odds of the jams, so I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't like that I don't like that decision because I think it all stems from we don't like metas. We're gonna eliminate the meta. Congratulations, you just created a new meta. You know what I mean? It's
The thing is, though, the only the
it's
counter that I would make to this is that, like, surely there's some level of like balance between these two things, right? Because if the chance is there and it's greater on the other one, but the chance is, 1 in a million more, then it doesn't matter. And if the chance is 10 times more, then it does matter. And there's a point in
yeah,
between where
yeah,
people go or and then people make a choice, and then and then is there no meta? Because then it's like, well, it's kind of balanced, we think, because it's like the risk of running this is similar to the risk of running into someone with level 6 that you now can't kill them because you're running FMJs, rather than APSXs. I don't know. I feel like maybe there is a balance there. Whether we will achieve that balance and whether BSG will think about it in that way is another question that I cannot answer for you. But I think, like, theoretically speaking, I think there is a balance that could be had. But yeah, it remains to be seen. Remains to be seen whether that will be achieved or
and
not. We don't know.
part of the remain to be seen is because we don't have the numbers.
Ooh,
That's the part that frustrates me the most, is, like,
yeah.
I just rather not deal with the bullshit, so I'm just gonna choose. But
Yeah,
I could be completely wrong. Maybe there is no hidden modifiers, you know what I mean? It's just anyways, alright, let's
yeah.
change topics before I start.
Have you got any topics that you want to bring up next before I move on?
Um, not really, man. I mean, yeah, go ahead. Shoot, what you got?
I reminded myself of a topic that I didn't write down, which was I mentioned it a minute ago, which is of I think I might have touched on this previously a little bit, but it's become very apparent to me that the prevalence of level 4 armor and how we just get there immediately and it's like everywhere. I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like level 4 armor should not be as easily accessible on Ragman. I think that rig is a problem. I actually do think the 6B3TM rig is an issue.
I'll say this, it doesn't really matter because once you hit level 20, then you just have infinite options. Like,
You
I get your point.
do,
I get your
but
point, but let me say this. I unlocked level 3 Ragman, and I went through and looked at everything I unlocked, and the only thing that actually was cheaper than the flea market, as far as I could tell, was, excluding barters, was the backpack. But all the armors he sold, they were, like, way more expensive than what's on the flea market. So, like, I basically just unlocked one useful thing for Ragman level 3. It was kinda like but to your point, unlocking Ragman level 2 is kind of a big jump in because you get that reliable, level 4 armor.
yeah,
Normally, you have to, like,
because
scavenge for it
it goes from the Packer
to level 4.
to level 4, and like Ragman level 2, like I can't even remember now, but like where is the Ragman? Let's have a look. So level 2 Ragman, it's level to be fair, it's level 17. So it's not
Yeah.
like, it's high. I mean, Ragman got pushed up a lot, didn't he? I think he's the highest trade now. It's like 17, 32, 42 for his stuff.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I just feel like maybe it's a bit of a jump. Like, the one maybe what I would prefer to go in there. I think the problem is I feel like the rig is too good, and I agree with your point about the fact that anybody can unlock anything. But like, no, but like, okay, anybody once you get to 20, you can buy anything you like. but nobody
Mhm.
does. They buy the 6B3TM. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't matter if it's the Flea or if it's Ragman. Like, no one's buying Tactics. No one's buying Karuns off the Flea or Gazelles, really. I've
Depends who
actually
you
seen a
are.
couple of Gazelles. Does depend who you are, but like, I've not really run into any. I just run into 6B3TMs the whole time, and like sometimes Packers and stuff. But like,
Yeah.
and the occasional level 3. But what I would prefer is if they just replace the 6B3TM with like the Ulay, let's say, because the Ulay is not very good. The rig is not very good on it, and it's ceramic and it sucks. And then
Is it
maybe make the
ceramic?
other one more expensive. I don't know.
Anyways,
The
yeah.
level 4 like green Ulay anyway.
Oh, yeah,
It's
that
the
one. That'd be
scav
a
one.
good
It's the
that'd
scav
be
one.
a good
I
one.
think that would be better because to buy the thing in cash, you can still get, and like I'd still gripe probably about level 4, whatever. But like, it's not quite as good, and I think that would make more sense. It's also heavy as hell, that one. It's crazy. Like, it overweights you almost immediately. So you're just like, well, you can wear the level 4, but it's really heavy, and you only get like, you know, two, 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 and then like one extra. It's like not that great a rig. I just feel like 6B3TM is too good. Like, you see people using 6B3TM like right up until the end of the wipe as just kind of like the staple kit. Like, well, speaking from personal experience, I'm not using anything else right now. I might like half my stash is just like full of
Yeah.
insurance claims on 6B3TMs. So I feel like it does need to be rebalanced a little bit because tier 3 right now, as far as I'm concerned, just gets completely skipped. There is that like brown Ulay, the level 3 like trap Ulay, as I like to call it, because you think it's level 4 because the other two rigs are level 4, but that one's level 3. You don't realize, and then you get one tapped with PS. But I don't know. It's just a weird one. I feel like it's too much too soon because it's like, yeah, we have like level 2 to level 6, and then we just play after the first like, little bit. You get to level 17, and then you only play 4 to 6 for the entire rest of the wipe.
Yeah, I agree with your sentiment. I think part of the issue, maybe the issue, is that how they design the armor and ammo, like how those two intersect,
Mm.
because the like what's this like the curve for like the pin, like when you did that one video about like how the percentages matter, like
Yeah.
or the values, it's
Hmm.
like there's like a big like 32 between like 38 or whatever. It's like all the same. Like it's like 50% or whatever the number is. But then like you go 1 point over from 38 to 39 and then all of a sudden it's like 90%. Like the leap is so huge. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like it's not linear in any way. It's like this weird like step, like
Exactly.
the
I
step.
actually still have the thing here.
And what
Yeah,
I've been
see,
doing
it's
is
like,
I've been buying Killas, which are like
okay.
a one, 150K, and also been trying this new one, which is the Redut. It's like this green class 5 armor that's like kinda heavy. It covers your stomach and chest, and it's
Uh-huh.
like 90K. And I figured like for doubling my cost, I basically just eliminate all, like like tier 3 ammo can't even touch me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Clear class now now I'm the guy with the Ulay against the guy with the PS, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
he's having a hard
Exactly.
time that I'm way more chunky for, and it's like to me it's kind of worth doubling my money. I mean, there's like obviously if I get one tapped in the head and it's just like well GG's, but
Which is that a
it's
rig?
just it's a chest. It's an
Just an
armor.
armor, just like a regular
Yeah,
armor.
I'll pull it up for you.
Interesting. Yeah, I was just gonna have like I
Redots.
was just gonna pull it up quickly and see which one this
Because
is. I
this is
think I've seen it,
another
but
it's Redut M. There's a this kind of branches into another thing
oh, this
that I've
one, the
been
one that's
thinking.
been in the game for a while.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you know
Yeah.
why? You get this from like quest rewards. And
Mm.
this is a bit of a tangent, but I've noticed that a lot of these quest rewards items they get flooded in the market and the price just gets dropped down. So I was just like, Anyways. But back to the topic, back to your point. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like part of it, it's kind of like it is because of how they designed like the armor system, Like even all right, let's say for example, they had a class 3 armor there for like 35K. Would you buy it over the almost 60K rig?
What, class 3 armor?
Class 3 for 35K, would you buy it?
Probably
over the
not, because you can
60.
find it on scavs.
Would you buy it for 30K? That's like the same as the Paka.
Earlier on, probably. Yeah.
If you had both options, like the class 4 rig or the 30K class 3 armor, would you buy it?
I just buy the level 4 armor every time because it's like it's not worth the level 3 doesn't do anything. Like for me, so I feel like there's a problem between level 2 and level 3, and that like both of them stop buckshot basically, and that's about it. It's like the buckshot protector. I don't go in without armor anymore because you just sometimes get buckshotted, even if you're on like a throwaway run.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
the thing about level 4 is that like yeah, if you're using level 4, you can actually protect yourself against some real bullets. Like we said, like PS is what like a 50% or something against level
Yeah.
4, I think roughly. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but
I think it's a little lower actually.
okay, fine, yeah.
I think it's 32 pin. That should put it relatively low. Like, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, I just feel like there's a bit of an issue with the way that the armor kind of scales. I just and that's the thing. And that's why I said I don't really see any point in using anything less than 4 because no matter like even if it was like unless I'm doing a stupid run where I don't care and I probably I'm like maybe not even wearing my like these headphones in real life because I'm doing something else and I'm just like running in and it's just like a free run or whatever. Like
yeah.
if I'm playing properly and I'm taking in anything serious, I'm going to be wearing level 4 as soon as I can buy
Oh, for
it.
sure.
And so it just like deletes level 2 and 3
It deletes
completely.
everything. Yeah, yeah.
And I think
But
3 is a step that just is like just overlooked completely. And I think this is like it
yeah,
goes back to a more fundamental problem actually with the whole game structure, which maybe will be
yes,
fixed in time. But the fact that like pistols, shotguns, all that kind of stuff, like you can get military grade assault rifles right off the bat. And so it kind of,
yeah,
shotguns can be okay, but given that you can get like full AKMs and AK-74Ms and whatnot, ADARs, like straight away, kind of negates all that stuff. Like, rifles are good. There's a reason why rifles are used everywhere in all militaries because they're really good. And so it's like, well, most of the time that replaces shotguns, crappy SMGs, and pistols, and that's kind of what the level 2 and 3 is for. But because we skip that stage in the weapons progression, it then means that that stuff's sort of semi-useless. So I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, if you then lock people further down the chain, then you end up widening the gulf between new players and chads. It's just like it's just an endless fight, an endless battle of like how do you fix this, right? It's like you try and fix one problem and
yeah,
then you open up another. So new players having an absolutely awful time is probably worse than fixing the weapon progression.
yeah. I mean, part of it is like accessibility. I think one thing that would help too is I started accessibility and accessibility. You just when you have like 5 different options and then 2 options are just objectively better than the other options. Like there's really you just pick between those 2 options.
Yeah.
Um, I think one thing that would help too is armor or hit zones because right now it's just like chest, stomach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so maybe when that becomes a bit more, if we ever get that, I think I trust we'll get that system in place.
Yeah, there were some interesting comments I heard someone talking about the other day, which like I've also thought, which is like, does it just increase RNG? Is it is it going to
A
be
bit,
better on the gameplay? Like, are you going to be able to pick an arm? Like, all it does really is nerf pen rounds, right?
which I think is kind of a good thing because the meta is really heavily on pin, like really heavy.
Sorry, not pen, not. No, I guess what so is that strictly true? What does it do? So it nerfs armor for sure, and it makes pen rounds less necessary. But like, where's the choice then? You go, okay, fine. Well, I guarantee my shots will pen if I hit a plate, if I take the high pen. If I take low pen, I might be able to slide some through anyway and still win. Assuming let's do like a thought experiment for a second. Assuming that you
Hmm.
cannot target a specific piece of their body to negate the
Hmm.
plates, is this not just the same as changing the pen chances then?
The pin chances.
So what you do there is you're saying, well, high pen ammo would pen anyway. Mid-tier ammo sometimes will pen, but it doesn't actually pen. It just goes through the plates, and so sometimes it just pens, right? Because the plate's not there. So all this is doing is this is taking. Here we go. Here's a bit of stuff for you. So all this is doing. Previously, you have a bullet, a lower pen bullet, which is a 50% pen, and this hits a piece of armor on a particular body part, which does, this 50% penetration chance, and then if so, it goes through. Now, instead of a piece of armor, so you have a square, you have pieces of the square cut out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your penetration chance, rather than being 50%, it's 50% modified by the ratio of gaps to the pieces that are
Right.
covered. So
Yeah.
if half of it is now covered, your pen chance is now 75%, not 50, because half the time you'll hit a gap, half the time you'll hit a plate. When you hit a plate, you have 50% chance. So overall, 25% chance you have a chance of it getting blocked. So I would assume, and this is a thought experiment, right? So we're assuming that you can't pick a particular location to shoot at. All we're doing is shifting all the ammo pen higher.
Yes and no, because when you're not actually pinning, you're hitting their flesh, so you actually get the full damage. You don't
That's okay. That's true. That
you
this is
don't
true. But
reduce.
I would argue that that's kind of like a secondary effect.
Yes. So what you're saying is you're just basically increasing the quote unquote pin of all the ammo.
Yeah, and
And I
it's
think
a
that would
ratio of the coverage, like the coverage visibility.
and I
So
think that's key. So I think
yeah,
now you'll choose like a slick will probably be really devalued, I think,
yeah,
because it's just it if you look at the model, it just does not cover like, well, man, your collarbone, your like part of your pectorals are like exposed. Like I don't think it'll be
exactly,
that good. I think
exactly.
the Zuck or Killa Armor, maybe we'll see some of the new like rigs. Have you seen the rigs that are like they cover your thorax and your arms?
Yeah,
They don't cover your stomach, but they
it
cover
looks
your I thought that
hilarious.
was yeah, I thought that was kinda interesting. But maybe we'll see, like, the more Zabralo, like, the really classics Ninja Turtle armor. Maybe we'll see a shift
Yeah,
to that, which I think is more interesting because there's a really big disadvantage taking those, man. Those you're heavy, you're slow, you know what I mean? I don't know, we'll see. But
exactly.
I do think it does kinda skew a bit more of that RNG side to it. However, it is gonna to, like when you're a level 1 Timmy, and you got your AK with TMO in it, and you just get that instead of getting that lucky shot in the head, now you just get that lucky shot in the chest, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, I think it does kinda, like, help out with the gap there.
I mean, yeah,
I don't
it
know.
does because exactly. It moves all the pens higher because
Maybe
sometimes
not
you're gonna shoot through the gap.
maybe not in the best way, like, the best design way possible because it is kinda just, like, RNG-ish, but that's kind
Yeah,
of that's I don't know.
I'll be interested to see like how easy it is then to like target a particular body part or something. But one thing that I was just thinking of, and I actually, because I suddenly my mind leapt and went like, oh, because you said about the arms and the chest thing, because like I was like,
Mhm.
oh, you know, keck, that's like completely like non-meta because it's like arms and thorax and the
Arms are
degrading
the best
thing.
armor, in my
Yeah, but it's
opinion.
also but then your thorax gets degraded when you get shot in the arms. So then it has to be like, but it's kind of what they said, right? That you can replace the plates, and I hope they do it in the right way, in which like each plate has its own. This is how it should be done, right? Each plate has its own durability settings. If
Ooh,
you get shot in the arm,
interesting.
you can get like your arm armor like zeroed, but your chest is still okay. Because right now the system doesn't really make sense because that's why people don't pick armor with arms because it affects your thorax when you get shot in the arm, which is what doesn't make sense. That's probably the biggest like anti-realism game bug, in my opinion, that should be repaired by this armor change, the armor plates change, but they need to make sure each plate is like they don't just like add up to an overall durability on the armor. You know what I mean? Because they could implement it in
Yeah,
that way. So oh,
yeah.
6 plates, you've got 60 HP. But it's still the
Right,
same
yeah.
system. That would because that would not really fix that.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because right now that's the reason why people go no stomach
Sounds
thorax
like a
only because it's the only body part that kills you, right? So it's like using the game's like mechanics to finesse what you do. So that's why arms and thorax is also going to be as bad unless they change it so that you can have those pieces zeroed. I really really hope that they do that. Otherwise, it will have the same gameyism to it that it does now.
sometimes almost wish I had armor because, sometimes it's just so frustrating when I get shot in the arm and I just get, like, aim punch to death, dude. It's like I'm aiming straight and then all of a sudden my PMC just, like, flicks to the sky, for all of a sudden. Like, oh, man. Sometimes the aim punch is, like, really, like, God, not so desirable. Because I think
Yeah.
if you get shot in the armor and it doesn't pin, I wanna say you get a very minimal aim punch. You may not even get aim punch at all. I'm not positive about that. But anyways, yeah, that's we'll see how that implementation goes. I'm sure it will be flawless and well thought out. Kappa.
Yeah. I mean, I'm worried about it because of the durability system, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That
It's
sounds like
kind
a
of
coding
like
nightmare, what you described, I'm not gonna lie.
I
They'd
mean,
have to, like, completely
yes.
if but look, they could do it. It's someone's gonna spend, like, a month designing the whole system, you know what I mean? It's like, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
But, like, it's one of those things, it's like, I don't
It's
even
worth doing,
feel
it's
like
worth overdoing. They're doing
yeah,
it right.
it's worth doing it right if you wanna do it properly, but I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe they're not in that mode and they're just like, "We'll put in something that's like an approximation and it's fine, and it'll be okay," and whatever. And armor will just be bad forever.
Yeah, I really wanna, like, justify trying it, but then it's like, if I ever do get shot, someone like we're saying, someone sprays at me, and then they eat my arms, and all of a sudden my thumb I mean, my thorax is just at 0, then that one bullet hits my and I'm just dead, you know?
Yeah,
Whereas, like, I swear too that arms are still bugged again. Like, I've shot guys, and I've just, like, mag dumped them. Like, oh my god, I was dumping a scav, bro. Like, I had the VP, what is it? The 366 AP rounds, and I was just like,
yeah,
boom, 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 boom. Finally, he dies, and I'm thinking like, am I hitting his arms and are just like not like because I thought they were supposed to hit your arms and then go through and hit your chest. Like I thought they
yeah,
fixed that.
I thought
So
so.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's bugged again
Oh, no.
because some people are really tanking, bro. It feels like they're
That's
just
rough.
tanks. Yeah.
That is
All
rough.
right. Was there anything else you want to mention? I got something I want to mention, but it might take a little bit. So
No, I'm
maybe
good.
we'll get to it.
Let's go to that. Let's go to that. I'm not sure how much longer my voice can hold out.
Okay. All right, then I'll try to fill in this. So there's been some chitter chatter about flea market stuff as usual in progression,
Yeah.
and I got something that I've mentioned sporadically in between podcasts, but I just want to kind of hear your thoughts and critiques of it because I'm sure it's flawed as many things are, and there's so many things that it. I don't know. There's a lot of things that kind of intersect when you talk about changing one mechanic. So kind of let the issue for me with the flea market, right? Let me start with what's good about it. Okay, you get access to everything. That's really good. Like that's a good thing, dude. I mean, like as a player, that's a really good thing to work towards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not even that you get access to everything. You unlock player trading, right?
Yeah.
So you can trade with other players outside of raid.
Mhm.
That's a huge thing, right? What else is good about it? Nothing really. So what's the bad stuff? Okay, here's kind of because you just skip all progression and you can what you can do is like, all right, let's say every item that the trader sells, it's a barter trade. It's not a barter trade.
Yeah,
It's a money exchange.
exactly.
What's how much are these items on the flea market? Let me go buy them because I don't have to
Mhm.
actually go and get them.
Yeah.
Like this is this is like the fundamental problem for me is you can sort of like take the flea market and then these traders or hideout, you can just loop them infinitely together in theory. Like you remember the ADAR barter, the rechargeable battery?
Yeah.
Yeah. If there wasn't a trading cap on that, you could just literally infinitely generate money until
Right.
the battery's price drove so much on the market that it wasn't worth anymore.
Yeah.
Like you could do that. There was a barter too for like a horse. You could get an AK and you could just sell the AK back and make money. Um,
You used to be
God,
able to
dude,
do that with the cat
there
statue
was
one as well, I think. Cat
yeah, the cat
statue,
statue one. That was another good one.
74UB with the suppressor, and you sell it
Yeah,
straight back to
yes.
mechanic. Yeah, that was a good one.
There was a lot they got rid of those, like, but there was a lot of those that where you just, like, could generate, every reset, you could just get free
Mhm.
money. It was hilarious. Um, that's kind of the problem for me is that, in theory, once you reach level 20 and you've unlocked a few hideout stations and you have, like, a little bit of capital, you could, in theory, just never play a raid and just infinitely create money, right?
True.
Because you craft something, you sell it, you buy something, and assuming what you sold made a profit, you buy something, you repeat the process.
Yes.
You buy something, you, trade with the trader, you vendor it, and you make a profit. It's just like there's so many things that you could do there. So, I feel like if you try to delink those, then you end up losing on some of the player economy because the player economy, a large chunk of it is from the hideout, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I need wires. Let me go buy wires. Some other guy crafted wires. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I need to make this gunpowder craft or whatever. This M61 craft, I go buy the gunpowder someone else crafted. So it kind of goes both ways. But to me, what's interesting is that to sell something, you can either craft it or you can go in raid, find the item, and then extract and sell it. To buy something, you don't necessarily have to go in raid. You just have to sell something. So if we go back to that point where you've like made enough progression where you like the Hideout Flea Market, you could just infinitely, you know, generate money. So I
Yeah.
wonder if because the flea market requires found in raid items, what if the flea market required found in raid cash?
Ooh, that was
So
not how I was
now,
expecting that argument to end. Okay, keep
because
going.
now it's like that was sort of my that was sort of my issue was that you don't have once you get to this like certain threshold, in theory, you don't have to ever go in a raid again. You know, I mean, technically, some items you have to go in raid to sell, but what if like because the flea market requires found like if I want to barter with someone, it requires two found in raid items. What if we did found in raid cash? So now I have to go into a raid, find the cash, loot a safe, loot cash registers, loot dead scavs, and trust me, there's like these numbers could easily be tweaked because these cash registers be popping out like 800 rubles. Like that's really low. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what the right call is on that part. But I just wonder if maybe that would like make the reward more meaningful. Like when I got this found in raid cash and I built up enough, and then I could take that found in raid cash and buy
Mm.
that really good thing. So it's like you get the access to everything in theory, right? Assuming people are still selling stuff. I don't even know if people be selling as much. But if someone wanted to sell something, and you wanted to buy it, then you'd have to go and raid and actually work multiple like, it's kinda increasing grind, but it's also breaking that loop because now when you sell money on the or when you sell an item on the flea market and you get the cash, it's not found in raid cash. I can only use that cash to, like, buy from the traders or upgrade stuff in my hideout that requires cash.
You'd have to really fundamentally change the way that cash acquisition works in raids to make this function, right? You'd really have to change it a lot. Like either I know
Maybe.
you said it's the amounts are low. That's fine. This would makes I mean, because that's a humongous change. I think there's a lot of items that just would not sell at all because the trader would buy. I mean, maybe the traders would have to stop buying them as well to get people to pay for them on or to put them on the flea because otherwise there's just going to be like nowhere near enough money to go around for the items available. So it should make everything on the flea incredibly cheap, but it's all flawed
That's
by
what
the
I would
traders.
think.
Yeah, it's all flawed by the traders, and so if it's lower than the trader value, just people just won't sell it there. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't.
because then why?
Yeah, you just sell it to the trader if it's like going to be lower than that because you got like 10,000 people with wires, but like hardly anyone with actual finding rate cash. So you'd have to make the cash like much more frequent to find,
I
and
think you would have to buff cash a bit, yeah.
it would have to be all over the place. It would have to be like in every like in most duffel bags. It would have to be in like in like every piece of every lootable container. I think in some ways to get enough. I don't know. I just don't think they would ever do this, to be honest with you. Like the ramifications of that are quite extreme. It's interesting. I'm trying to think about like what does this actually do? So what they're saying right now is that find in raid, you can only ever buy an item from another player if it was already found in the raid by a player of some kind. Now we're saying that you can only buy that item if you also found your cash in the raid yourself. What does this prevent? Well, this prevents people from making a ton of money from the hideout.
It prevents the loop. You can still do it. Like, I could still craft something and sell it to the vendor or to the flea market, but I can't then turn around and go buy the thing I want from the flea market. Because that's kind of the problem with the flea market for me is that it just fundamentally kills progression. Like, there's still some incentive to progress, but honestly, depending on, like, I mean, everything's cheap, man. Like, everything's cheap.
Well,
You could loot a bunch of crickets over
yeah,
and over and then go buy a slick. Like, it's not like, you can loot
most things are
anything,
cheap.
man.
Most things are cheap, but yeah, like certain attachments and stuff aren't very cheap.
Certain
Um,
attachments, certain hideout upgrades, yes. But
and they're not
you
that
could
cheap. They're
ignore the
like,
hideout.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go on. Sorry, go on.
Oh no, I'm just trying to think. I'm just like, yeah, certain things aren't that cheap on the flea. But like what?
The things that are expensive is the progression that unlocks, either more passive income or savings. Savings being the traders, so like the gunsmith quests, the Zabralo, the Gazelle armors that gotta be, like, below 50 durability. Like, I bought one for, like, half a million last night. I was like, "Fuck it, I don't wanna spend, 2 days finding a Gazelle armor in raid that's below 50% durability. Let me just all
Yeah.
these junk items I've been selling."
So in this scenario,
Okay.
does crafting still give you finding raid? It does, right? The system stay the
No.
finding raid. No, you're saying no
Well, you
because the
mean
person who
money or the
buys
items?
the item.
Yeah.
So the finding rate system as it stands stays. The only change is that you can only buy any of those items
The
using finding raid
fountain
cash. That is
yeah.
interesting. That is interesting because then like that's yeah, as you say, right, it's both sides of the coin. It's like you have to do some work to get items that are finding raid. You either have to go into raid or you have to craft them. And then to buy those items, you also have to do some kind of work. You have to go and find the cash that's in raid to go and buy those items
I just feel like it'll
from
make
that
it
flea.
it's like a happy medium, like, you still and the other change I would make too, which I didn't really mention this, is flea market level 1. That's the other change I would make, but that's kind of a different can of worms, so, I don't know. The cash idea is just dumb. Okay.
I don't know if it's. I mean, it would fundamentally change the way that the game is played out. That's for
Yeah.
sure. I'm not
Because
necessarily
why
against rewarding people for playing the game. Like if you want to play with the traders, then you can sell your stuff on the flea and buy stuff from traders. But you're almost simulating like I don't know. I need to think more
oh,
about it.
almost simulate what were we gonna say? Almost simulating what? You teased me too
I
much.
was gonna say almost simulating like that you have to be like meeting players using all find and raid items. They found it all in raid. You
Exactly.
found all your stuff in raid. It's almost like
There's the
simulating
risk.
yeah, it's almost like simulating the risk of meeting players in raid without actually putting that system in place particularly.
It's bridging the gap between that open world physical flea market to the because now you gotta survive, you know what I mean? You gotta go and get the cash and survive. Like, you gotta go and do the thing. You can't just click a bunch of buttons to
Yeah.
get the thing you want.
The reason why
Like
I stopped is because I was like, well, in the real world physical flea market, you could still go and take your trader cash and go to it. That was why I stopped saying what I was going to
yeah,
say.
yeah,
But so
and
this
I
is a
think
different, but
once they if they ever reach that, and and that's, like, even the goal, they could, like, detach because I think we said this before, there really is no point in found a raid once you have, like, physical traders and physical, flea market, physical trading. I don't know. There really is no point,
yeah, that's
but
true. I don't
that's
think they're
the
going to do
whole
that though.
yeah, I don't
I
know. We'll
don't think I
see.
don't think all the traders are going to be in raid. I think only some will be, and they might be like unlockable between maps and that kind of thing. But I don't think they're going to be actually present in the world. I don't think. But you are quite right. You know, if you're playing a hardcore style with everything in raid and you have to go and visit them in person, then finding raid like it's just by default, so it doesn't matter then if there's no flea as well,
Yeah.
because then you remove everything that finding raid was like made to do. But dude, I don't know, man. I don't know. I
Yeah,
need to think more about that.
sit on it, think
That's
about
a
it, get
big
back to
that's a
me,
big
because there's
big change.
definitely issues, but I, yeah, I'm curious to know more how it could be more formulated because I think
Hmm,
there's something there, but I'm not too sure.
interesting.
Because the other thing too is you get found and rate cash from quests, so that kinda incentivized questing, which I like. I like the
Yeah,
even though the quests suck, which maybe that might need to change, I don't know, but
daily quests.
what?
You know,
Never
daily
heard that
quests with finding raid cash.
never heard that idea before.
Can you imagine though?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yep.
I it's not that I don't like daily quests, I just like that player-driven quest. I want this, let me go here and go get it. It's like a
Me
fetch
too,
quest
but it'd be a
that's
nice way to like add finding raid cash in your idea.
yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, well, that's what I had for that.
Cool. Um,
Anything else, bud?
I think that's it for this one. I think that's it. I think that's
Okay,
it for me. I think that's it for me.
sounds good. We were supposed to get to the messages, but I forgot.
Oh, I know.
Sorry, we're whatever on time.
Fine.
Alright, good
Yeah, we'll do
stuff.
them next time.
Should I release the Discord? It's, like, semi-ready, I don't know. I'm just gonna release the Discord.
Go for it.
I'm gonna put the Discord link in the video description, and also in the podcast description. Feel free to join and spam. No, I'm kidding. Don't spam cryptocurrencies. The Discord. But yeah, dude, come come help us out. Get some chitter chat going. I would love to hear from you guys, some feedback and whatnot, and just kind of see how it goes. I don't know. You know what I mean? I never really had a public. I did have a Discord server once back in the day that I ran for
Yeah.
in-house leagues in Dota 2. Oh my god, dude,
Okay.
that was such an adventure.
But you got more
Such an
experience than me, I
adventure.
think, because like mine, I opened up and it's just kind of like, you know, it's just like people chatting, whatever. Like I don't put a great deal in there in general, but it's just kind of
Mhm.
like a forum for, you know, general conversation. Like people find other people. It's still like, you know, it's still fairly small Discord. It's mainly like a couple people finding some raids, chatting about the game, some changes, whatever, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see.
Cool. With that, I think we'll wrap it up, yeah?
Yep, sounds good.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Take it
All
easy.
right. Catch you later.